she's my daughter, and she's going to tell you about what you can do.
Hi. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, can I see a show of hands? Who here is a Democrat? Oh, good, okay. Well, excellent. I have had some feedback from Republicans I know that they don't like liberals and progressives like me. And part of what I hear is that we are talking all the time, we're saying too much, we're just yapping on and on and on and on. And I know I do that. So part of what I'm trying to do in my life right now is kind of pare down what I say. So of course I decided I would give a nice speech of several thousand words, and then I thought, well, maybe I should just pare that down to 1,000 words. And then I did some math because I remember that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Nope. There we go. So this is my picture. How much does a birth cost? Does anyone want to guess? Throw a number out there. $13,000. Oh, someone stole my punchline. Yes, $13,000 is about the average cost in the U.S. So this is what healthcare means to me, because I have one child and I want to have another one, but I don't want to pay a lot of money, and I have health insurance. With my health insurance, including my deductible, my next birth will cost me $43,000 if everything goes well. Or, I'm sorry, $4,300. Sorry, $4,300 if everything goes well. I don't have that money. And I am an employed, working mother who expects to have a normal birth. My last one went great. That's a lot of money. So this is the kind of stuff that, to me, that's the message I want to send. Like, we need to fix healthcare for me and my next kid and my friend and her next kid and my sister. Like, these are the people that need help, and they're the people who are your friends on Facebook. You know, that person that you went to high school with that you've kind of lost touch with, who doesn't really know what you think and what's going on in your life. You have an opportunity to share those stories with people who care about you. And how can you do that? Because we don't have time to write a 1,000-word essay on what does electing Ben Jealous to governor mean to me. It means I could maybe have a birth that I won't go bankrupt over. That's what it means to me. So how can I tell that to people in a way where they'll read it, where they'll listen? Well, the way that we like to communicate now is through all these social media platforms. And the easiest way to do that and have a really powerful statement is through pictures. But how do you make a picture, and how do you make a graphic? That sounds scary to most people because you don't usually do that in your regular life. Who here does like graphic design? Okay, so you got a few hands, right?
Well, not as a living.
That's okay, no, but you've tried it. Most people haven't, right? So I'm going to show you how to do it today. You're going to leave here knowing how to do it. Yay! And it's going to mean you need to think about something that you don't normally think about. So my next question, why is Obama a great speaker? Does anyone want to throw out a why?
He tells stories.
He tells stories. How does he tell them?
With pictures.
With pictures, but also what does he do when he's speaking? What is Obama known for?
Pausing.
Connecting.
He knows how to pause. That's why he's impressive. You know those like super impressive pauses where you're just waiting and waiting and waiting and then bam, he says it. That is what you can do through pictures, and here's how. You need to think about this concept of white space, and you need to think about your concepts of placement, right? So I'm not great at this. I have just started learning this. I don't know a lot about this. I have no background or training in it, but it's really simple if you actually just consider it before you put something out there. So I want to show you what that means in real life. So what am I talking about? Here's a great example from Ben Jealous. The message isn't that important to me, but the example right here is He says something, then he waits. Then he says something else, then he waits. Then he says something else. Okay, so here's a great example of how this looks visually, and it reads differently to a person. If he had written this all out in one line, it'd be like, but writing it like this, it sounds to them as they read it, statement, 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 statement. Right? So that's the emotional context of what you're doing in social media is done through placement of your words and pictures. That is how you connect to someone through social media in an emotional way, not by a really well-worded sentence. That's important and it's great, but it's better if you put that well-worded sentence onto an image. So we'll talk about that. So here's a great example of my Twitter feed, random thing. Up at the top, there's an ad. Next is a quote from, I think that's Representative Kennedy saying something about the Supreme Court, stuff that's going on, and then my friend put a picture of our buddy, right? What do you notice when you look at this? You notice the pictures. You don't notice this really nice quote or really important statement or whatever it is that the candidate's trying to say gets lost in the jibber jabber of these fun pictures and worthless ads that I don't even care about, right? So that's what you're competing with. What does it mean when we say Larry Hogan has $9 million in the bank? This is what he's spending it on, pictures like this. So if we can make pictures like this and post them, sure, we're not paying for ad placements, but you can start to attract people to the message. So here's another good example of spacing, but it's better because there's a picture, right? So he spaced out the things in the tweet by just an empty line, and then he added a great picture. So if someone sees this on their Twitter feed, they're gonna look at it and be like, oh, there's some smiling people, I wonder what this is about, and then when they read it, the information is easier for them to take in because it's spaced better.
His twin.
And here's an even better example of a really, really, really well done tweet that is horribly offensive. But if you're looking at marketing, this is what you want to look at. So if you're trying to figure out how to do this, go look at Larry Hogan's Twitter feed. He has really, really, really good marketing strategy. It's upsetting because he's not telling the whole story. So there's a symbol at the top, the Baltimore Sun. We all recognize that. That's something that we see and we're like, oh, I know them. And then there's a statement, and then there's a thing in huge highlighted text that says, that's impressive. Makes it seem like the whole article was about how wonderful he is and how impressive he is. But if you look at the teeny tiny font at the bottom, the title of the article that he's quoting from is, did Hogan really spend a record amount on education? Yes, but ... And see how it's in tiny print?
The yes is that the teachers didn't get any raises.
Well, for this particular article, the yes is that every governor did that. Like, every year we spend more money on education because we're growing and inflation and we need more money on our schools. So everybody does that. So a response to this, you don't want to get in a Twitter war. So this is not a good example of the kind of conversations you want to have to engage in. But this is the kind of how you want to present data. So you could say this, continuing from your quote, it reads, that, I'm not impressed. Or you could say this. Do you see the difference between the two? Now, I'm not suggesting you get into Twitter war with Larry Hogan. That's not going to be helpful or effective. You don't want to bother. But you see the difference in how I did the same thing, but a little bit differently. On Twitter, you don't have this sort of formatting. You can just do spacing, like I showed you in the other examples from Ben Gillis, to make your lines different, but you can't do it. But you can do on graphics, you can do this kind of changing your text so it looks more readable. So you can also do it on pictures. Right? So you can make a statement and you can share it with people and it can be really, really effective. And you can can do it all the time, and you can take a sentence that you were going to write on Twitter and just put it on a colored background, right? It doesn't have to be an image like this. It can just be a plain color, and then it shows up, instead of just being your words in a little tweet, it'll show up as this big image. You could just write, "Vote Jealous for governor" on a big pink square, and that's it, and it would show up much more visible than if you just wrote the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to just share a few more because I was having way too much fun with this app. This one was done from a more complicated app, as was this one. Okay, so here's an example of just to say, what was I doing? This one was made from the easiest app to use ever, which is what I'm going to introduce to you guys tonight. And let me just kind of show you, if you notice, there's a picture, it's got words at the top, words at the bottom, and if you look at the font, it's white with a black border around the edge of the letters. So that kind of helps the text pop and be more visible on the page. If you use this app, it does that automatically for you, but there are plenty of apps to add text to photos. So it's called Add Text to Photo. I use an iPhone. They have a million apps. There's also on Android, so whatever type of phone you have, if it's smart as ice, you can get one. I did a trial run with my dad and had him download an app he never used before. Just look up a good rated one on his phone, on his Android phone, and it was super user-friendly and easy to use. Now, what problems did he come up with? There was a few things that were more challenging and less challenging, so I want to quickly go through that with you now so you can just kind of do this on your own and see what it'll look like. So this app is called Mematic. It's like meme, M-E-M-E-A-T-I-C. And it's on iPhone. I don't know if there's a corresponding one on Android, but just look for an add text app. Okay, and then what you do is you go through it and you click on the things that you think are good and bad. Now, who feels like they are confident in clicking through an app and using it and they're going to get it to work how they want? Okay, that's good. I want everyone in this room to be raising their hands in the next 3 minutes after I say this. How do you problem solve an app? Well, there's a couple things you can do when your phone isn't working the way you wanted it. And I've learned these from having my phone not work and also seeing what other people do. So, everyone get out your phone. Come on, be fast, guys.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes.
You hold your phone up, right? Like you're gonna take a picture of me. How does everyone hold it? Like really hold it up so I can see. Remember, I'm short, so okay, good. Right, now, take your phone and go sideways. Yep, that's landscape, right? Most pictures you want to take are going to be in landscape. Video you want to record in this setting. Turn your app up, right? So when you do that motion with your phone, it changes how the screen looks, right? We all know this, right? Some apps are more problematic in one of those things compared to the other. So if you're having trouble and it's not working, that's the way you expect, one of the things you can do is just flip your phone. What's another thing you can do? Well, there's different types of ways you can touch your phone, right? You can tap, you can double tap, you can long press. You can press and then wait because the app might be taking time to load. So when you're working with these sorts of apps, it's very easy to get frustrated and think it's not working. Those are 4 different strategies to try, like, well, I touched it and nothing happened. What did I do wrong? Well, try double touching it. Try touching and holding. Sometimes that can make a difference. So those are other strategies you can use. Does that all seem very familiar to all of you, or is that brand new information? I'm trying to gauge how new this sounds. Who's never thought about that ever? Okay. And then next, when you're going through stuff, a lot of times I see when people struggle to find the right button to push, like, okay, what do I do next? Frequently now in apps, you're going to see a little arrow that points that way. So my right on the screen, that means like to go forward or to progress. If you see another arrow going the other way, that means to go backwards. So a lot of times if you can't find, like, well, what do I do? How do I save it? sometimes it's just a little arrow and that really throws people off. And if you know, oh, I look for the arrow, then you can save it, okay? So if you would like to try this out and set up a picture on your phone and add text, the steps are download an app that says add text to photo, walk through the normal process of it in the app. The app should lead you straight through it. It should say add photo, click, you pick a photo, and then it should say add text, click, then you write in the text.
What's your favorite product for that on the app? Like, what's a good free app that people could use?
So the one that I'm going to recommend if you don't know really anything about apps and you have an iPhone is Mematic, MEMEATIC. If you do know some about apps and you want to learn how to use something that's much more powerful but not as user-friendly, I like Over, OVER, and I'm happy to talk with anyone who's interested in using that about what other capabilities it has, but I'm not going to share that with everyone here because I don't think that many people want to learn it. But basically, we tried a bunch of different just random ones that we found just by searching add text, and they all seem to be pretty good. Now, the free ones have ads and they're annoying. So you must be patient or you must pay money. So those are your options of that. Make sure if you see an ad, you just wait until the X shows up and then you click the X. Are there any questions or concerns? Does anyone think that they could do this right now on their phone? Yeah? Okay. If you want to try it and do it, and then let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to hang around for a little bit. I'm also happy to share my contact information with anyone that wants to try it. But I really think it's very easy and you can do it. Okay, so just for fun, last one. Remember, if you write their name on it, right? This is my baby girl, and her little vacuum, right? If you write the candidate's name on it, that's really, really important for name recognition. So just keep that in mind. And if anyone wants to do this, if you're interested in it, if you have a connection with a candidate that you think would benefit from this, I am happy to work for free to help anyone that wants to do this, to help Democrats win. I have a kid though, so my time with you will also include a almost 2-year-old. So anyone that's interested in this, please come talk to me. I'm happy to give my contact information.